Hello, loyal fans and subscribers. Ninamori Fanboy here, and this video is going to be a little different. What I've decided to do is, since there's like 2 weeks or something, I don't know the exact date until the release of Pokemon X and Y, I've decided to list my top favorite Pokemon, before Gen 6 comes out, and this list constantly is changing all the time, so I just figured I would document my current opinion before the this will likely be the last time I make a list like this before Gen 6, and perhaps even after Gen 6. I'm gonna get Gen 6, but this is my top 25 favorite Pokemon from generations 1 through 5. 25. Abomasnow. Being grass and ice, which is two of my favorite types, combined into one, would be good in theory, but the stat distribution and the inevitable weaknesses and stuff make Abomasnow not too useful in battle, but he's still one of my favorite Pokemon, so I had to put him on the list. It's just 24. Medicham, the psychic fighting Pokemon. Fighting is one of my favorite types, if not my favorite. Then again, this is before fairy types, which I'm kind of fond of, but I'm not going to say that too loud, because I know if I predict something, then something will happen, then something will make me not like that something, so I'm just going to pretend I didn't say any of this. So, back to Medicham. I like its design more than its type or its ability, which its ability is really good. I mean, it makes it actually useful, which is something that I don't typically look for when selecting favorites, but I like its actual look more than its typing and useful ability, because I like fighting Pokemon, but I don't like the big, slow, bulky things like Machamp or Hariyama, that kind of stuff. I mean, I do like them, don't get me wrong, but I prefer this lean build that kind of resembles, more human-like myself, I guess. So, 23. Cresselia.
I like Cresselia because it is a great special wall, and I can use it to win games on its own.
But for real, I've always liked Cresselia's design because it has an association with the moon, and I've always felt that I've personally had an association with the moon, so that in turn makes me have an association with Cresselia. Don't get me wrong, I like to use it in battle too, because it does have great defense and special defense, so I like using it competitively, but one thing, when I first got one, I tried using its move Lunar Dance, thinking that it was some awesome thing, and it actually wasn't, and I became the laughingstock of myself. 22. Celebi. Having grown up not really with Gen 2, but as the generation that I really played the most as a child, Celebi, there was no legal way to get Celebi in America, so when I didn't even know it existed until someone showed me how to get it, I think with the Game Shark. And when I did get one, Gen 2 had that glitch where you could clone Pokemon, So I ended up getting 6 Celebis with they all level 100 that knew like Ancient Power, Perish Song, and I can't even seem to remember the other 2 moves because I think the battery died in my silver copy, so they're gone forever, but for the longest time, that was my silver team, 6 Celebis. Yeah, I didn't go to too many tournaments. 21. Empoleon. It is a bulky water, it's also a steel type, which gives it more bulk, and, a few more random weaknesses like fighting, and it gives it a neutrality to fire, which is weird, but I like its design. I like that it's a penguin, and I think it's actually a pretty ingenious maneuver on Nintendo's part, because although it is a bird, it is a penguin bird, so it cannot be the flying type because it is not flying. It could be bird type if it was Generation 1, because there was a bird type, not flying type, but this is, it's a penguin, so therefore it can't fly. It's like Doduo, only Doduo is flying, so, wait, can dodo birds fly? I don't remember. Actually, Doduo is not a dodo, so, I don't know how I got this much off topic, because I don't have much to say about Empoleon. I just like that it's a bulky water. 20. Sock. As I've stated before in my Metacham explanation, I like the slimmer, more human, realistic human-looking like Pokemon, fighting Pokemon in particular, and I always liked Sock better than Throw because I like striking martial arts better than grappling martial arts, like karate more so than judo, which I think is what they're representing. And when I first saw Sock and Throw, looking at the pictures, I didn't know their types, and I was so sure that they are going to be firefighting and ice fighting. And for the longest time, I've wanted an ice fighting Pokemon, because that's like my two favorite types, and I thought that would be it, and it wasn't it, and I was disappointed, but I ended up not being so much disappointed because Sock was still such a cool Pokemon, and I'm hoping in Generation 6 there's finally an ice-fighting Pokemon, but again, I'm not going to get my hopes up because I know it's not going to happen, and 19. Crobat. Coming from Zubat, and somewhat Golbat, but Zubat, the number one annoying Pokemon, well, Tentacool is maybe tied, but coming from the Zubat family, if you would have tried telling me that there would be such a cool Pokemon that evolved from that, because I didn't think Golbat was that cool, when it finally evolved into Crobat, he's amazing looking. And for the first time, a Zubat family member can learn Fly, and that itself is awesome. But not only that, its stats are good. It can be both physical or special, which is awesome. And Crobat is just, wow. Zubat's like one of the main Pokemon who go from being just nothing to being just 18. Toxicroak. Once again, I like fighting Pokemon, and the poison subtype is actually kind of unique and pretty cool. And it gets some good moves. Generation 4 introduced a lot of good fighting moves, but unfortunately I didn't get to use one on either one of my playthroughs of Generation 4 because it only becomes available so late in the game, and by then I usually have another Pokemon, like fighting Pokemon, so yeah, by then it's just kind of too hard to train. But I would like to use one competitively, like in the after game, but again, by then there's other better fighting Pokemon, so Toxicroak. 17. Arcanine. Arcanine is like the only fire Pokemon I use from Generation 1. He's awesome. His stats are apparently legendary, which is where he gets the name the legendary Pokemon from, because he was actually supposed to be a legendary Pokemon. That's why in the anime, on the picture with the four things, one of them is Arcanine, and the other two are the birds, and the other bird, I don't really remember the picture. I might put it up, I don't know, I might be lazy. But Arcanine, I always liked how just awesome it was. I didn't even know it was actually supposed to be a legendary back when I played through Gen 1. I'm actually playing through Gen 1 right now, but I'm not using one because it's not in the version I'm playing. But if it was, I would totally use it, because Arcanine is awesome. 16. Golem. The first time I used a Golem was Generation 2, and I don't really remember beating the Elite Four, but I know that afterwards I used a Golem on my team, and it eventually surpassed my starter, which was Feraligatr, and it became like my number one Pokemon. It was the first Pokemon I ever got anywhere near that high a level, and it was actually a Graveler for the longest time. I trained it to level 98, thinking after level 50 that maybe it had to go to level 100 to get it to evolve, because I didn't realize it had to be traded. I traded it to my friend, he gave it 2 rare candies, traded it back to me, and it was just, we were best buds from then on until I tried cloning it for some reason. Or no, I tried cloning something else, and that was in my party, and it was erased from my party. Yeah, my Golem knew Earthquake, Rock, Throw, Magnitude, and Fire Punch. I thought Fire Punch would be a good addition, because even though it was special, it could deal with the grass Pokemon, which were good against it. I didn't realize that water was also good against ground and rock. But regardless, it was named Hacker, and I had no idea what Hacker meant, and I have no idea why I named it that, but that was like my first ever favorite Pokemon, and this is probably the first time I'll tell this story on the internet, and perhaps the last time, but yes, that is why I have such a soft spot for Golem. I mean, it is good. I would like to use it competitively, and I may in the future if I get into playing Pokemon in the future competitively, but yes. 15. Sceptile. I don't have too much to say about Sceptile because a lot of what I say about these Pokemon are nostalgia involved, and that's not the case with Sceptile. Sceptile is just awesome. It's got great stats like speed and special attack, and its attack stat isn't bad, and it's got a few decent physical attack possibilities, so it could go either way. It could go mixed, but I don't recommend that, though I don't know why I'd listen to my recommendations, because I'm not exactly the greatest Pokemon competitive player in the world. But yes, Sceptile is definitely a solid choice for my top, whatever number this is, 15, apparently. 14. Typhlosion. The thing about Typhlosion is that I never actually used one in my first playthrough of Silver. I used Feraligatr, and I never even considered the other two. Slowly but surely, I kind of stopped caring about Feraligatr, and I never cared about Meganium at all, and started liking Typhlosion for some reason. Admittingly, it's not really the best, even remotely the best fire starter, like competitively or non-competitively. I mean, I think even Charizard's better non-competitively, like in-game, because it's got, flying and access to a whole bunch of things. The only thing really Typhlosion's got going for it is that it has access to Eruption, which I think is only because they realized it was so underclassed. So, yeah. 13. Virizion. Grass fighting. I really like this thing. I don't really know why. I like the stat distribution of the other two of the trio better than this, but something about the typing and the design. I really like Virizion better than the other two, who I can't even remember their names right now. That's pretty embarrassing. Yeah, I try using this in the post-game, the battle tower, whatever they call it, battle subway, and it's pretty good. I really like using it, and I will continue to use it because it is awesome. 12. Gothitelle. Surprisingly not dark, but psychic. It's the counterpart to that Reuniclus thing. Gothitelle is a black exclusive, and Reuniclus is a white exclusive. And I was so disappointed upon discovering that, because I wanted white from the start. Between me and my cousin, we always, split up the games, and I wanted white and he wanted black. But I wanted the Gothitelle, and that was only available in black, and it makes sense, but that disappointed me. Yeah, its design is awesome, just the fact that it's a gothic humanoid thing that can do, things, and it's got pretty good stats. It's nice special defense. I've used this in the post game, and I like it, so yeah, I don't see any plans on stopping. 11. Raikou, however you pronounce it. The electric dog, cat, gerbil thing, beast from Generation 2. While playing through Generation 2 the first time, I didn't catch any of the dogs. Maybe I caught Raikou, or Entei, I mean. I know I didn't get Suicune nor Raikou, because I used my Master Ball on Lugia, and then, I didn't realize it would be so difficult to catch them. And I didn't really care about the dogs at that point, but I've come to grow an immense appreciation for Raikou in particular. Suicune and Entei are pretty cool too, but Raikou is definitely my favorite, even though it's actually... Well, Entei's pretty useless too, and Suicune is definitely the most usable competitively, and Raikou is kind of in the middle, and Entei is physical fire. 10. Gyarados, or Gyarados, the evolved form of Magikarp that should be a dragon. Well, at least in X and Y, there's a possibility that its Mega Evolution will be dragon, but it's not very likely. What to say about Gyarados that isn't widely known? It's like the most beastly Pokemon there is. One of the most intimidating looking Pokemon. Battling against it actually is pretty intimidating, because it's just, there's so much it can do, and it's just so detrimental to fight against. Having a Gyarados on your team is almost unfair. That's how good it is, because there's just so much it can do. It can fill so many roles so nicely, because its stats are amazing. Its typing, it's not as amazing as it should be, but it's in fact, its typing is more of a hindrance than anything at this point. Yeah, guess I'll stop here. But yeah, Gyarados is awesome. 9. Noctowl. Normal flying. Every generation has at least one family of these, sometimes multiple, but Generation 2, the main type, maybe the only one I can't recall at the moment, was Noctowl. And Noctowl is definitely my favorite normal flying Pokemon, because for one, I love owls. and I've liked owls more so than Luke, who has nothing to do with this list, and likely no one knows who he is, even though this is an Enamor Famous channel, and on this channel, in Enamor Famous, I have a playlist called Adventures, where me and Lucas go on adventures. I don't really like how Noctowl's not that good out of the main game. Like, competitively, it's really not that good at all, because its stats are not well placed at all. Like, I think its offenses are even worse than Pidgeot's, and Pidgeot's, like, you do not want to be lower than Pidgeot, but it's got some unique stuff going for it, and I really like it for what it is, which is the one and only owl Pokemon, I believe, maybe? 8. Blaziken, the original fire fighting starter. I never used one on my first few playthroughs of the 3rd generation games, but when I did finally use one, Blaziken quickly became one of my favorite all-time Pokemon. Just its typing, and its move pool, and its stat distribution, it could do, like, pretty much anything, like physical or special. It's got access to great moves and stuff. The only thing really bad about Blaziken is its speed, which, fortunately, they gave it the Dream ability, Speed Boost, but unfortunately, they decided to ban all Blazikens regardless of if they have Speed Boost or not, because of the remote possibility that you'll get a Blaziken that knows Speed Boost. I guess they declared it to be too powerful. Yeah. Too bad. Guess I don't need to use Blaziken. 7. Articuno, my favorite of the 3 legendary birds from the 1st generation. Regarding the Pokemon trading card game, I actually ended up getting both Moltres and Zapdos from the fossil set, and I never got nor ever even saw anyone that had Articuno, so I couldn't trade with them. And when I went to the second Pokemon movie and they gave away them 3 Pokemon cards of Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, I ended up probably getting Moltres and Zapdos, which are my 2 least favorite. But I really like ice Pokemon, and Articuno's like one of the definitive ice Pokemon. Like, when you think ice Pokemon, you immediately think Articuno, because it's just that awesome. It's pretty usable in battle, too. I gotta say, Articuno's still pretty awesome. 6. Blastoise. My first ever starter Pokemon that I can remember was Squirtle, which eventually grew up to be a Blastoise that probably knew Surf, Hydro Pump, Bubble Beam, and Skull Bash, but it was still awesome. That big turtle with cannons on its back. I don't really like the design as much as, other people. I don't know what I like about Blastoise so much that I do like it, but it's just pretty awesome. I guess it's mainly nostalgia, because, no, it does have some good use competitively with Rapid Spin, and I have one trained currently, level 100, for that purpose. I don't know why I gave away my plans online, because so many of my opponents watch my channel, I'm sure, because I have so many opponents. 5. Lugia. Growing up in the era of Pokemon that I did, where Johto was like the next big thing, and there was all this hype about Pokemon Neo and Pokemon 2 coming out and stuff, seeing Lugia for the first time, well, I actually thought its name was Liagra, even though there's no R anywhere in the name. I was so mesmerized by it. I had to get silver. I've always liked the color silver better than the color gold, but that ultimately justified getting silver over gold, because Lugia was on the cover. There's so many strange things about Lugia. Like, for one, its typing, it's psychic flying, and there's so many more types that it could be. Like, it lives underwater, so I always get confused thinking it's a water type, and it kind of resembles a dragon, although some Pokemon that are dragons don't resemble dragons, so that shouldn't mean anything. So I kind of sometimes think it's dragon, but actually I don't. That's actually my cousin. I would talk about how good it is to use competitively, but it's not used competitively because it's Uber. I don't know, I don't do Ubers, so maybe it is used competitively. I have no idea. All I know is that the first time I got a Lugia and it learned Aeroblast, from then on, I was a happy camper. 4. Tyranitar. Tyranitar is another example of a Pokemon that I never cared about too much when it first came out and I was into Silver. Mainly because I couldn't ever find Larvitar that I could remember. I mean, it was in Silver Cave, but it was only a Larvitar and severely underleveled compared to the rest of the Pokemon in the cave, if memory serves. So I wondered what its purpose was, and I don't ever remember seeing an actual Tyranitar in the game. Otherwise, I would have known how awesome it was, probably. Maybe I do recall seeing one, actually. Anyway, when I did finally grow an appreciation for Tyranitar, I realized how amazing it was, because it's access to, all kinds of good physical attacks, because they finally, switched over, and instead of Dark being always special, it could gain, Bite and Crunch and that. I like it for its Rock type more so than its Dark type, which is weird, because I think most of the game community uses it for its Dark advantage, because it can pursue away anything, and it's pretty awesome like that. But I like its Rock type better, although what I don't like is that there still isn't a reliable Rock physical attack. 3. Salamence, my favorite dragon Pokemon ever. To begin with, in Generation 3, when it first becomes available, you can only get a Bagon in one little area of Meteor Falls that's inaccessible until after you get Waterfall, and how you would ever know this without looking up a guide or hints online or something is beyond me, but that just makes it even cooler in my opinion. What also increases its coolness is its stats. Its speed is good, its special attack is good, and its attack is amazing. Its move pool impresses me even more. It impressed much of the community as well, so much so that it was banned for a while. It might be banned now, I don't know, I haven't been keeping up with the current ban list on the Pokemon games, because why haven't I? That's a good question. 2. Venusaur, my all-time favorite starter family Pokemon. The irony is that when I was first introduced to Pokemon, I thought the 3 starters were actually Charmander, Squirtle, and Pikachu. I had no idea Bulbasaur even existed, and once I found that out, I kind of felt bad for Bulbasaur, and ever since then I think I've been just giving it sympathy, which eventually grew to an adoration and admiration, then a necessity to train one, and now Venusaur is my favorite starter ever, just because how awesome it is. It was tough to narrow down between Venusaur and Blastoise, but I've grown a firm fondness of Venusaur, and I'm playing through Pokemon Green right now, the original Japanese, and I don't have a Venusaur, but Venusaur on the cover is pretty awesome. That has nothing to do with this. I don't know why I said that. Number 1. Mew. Mew is a cat. A pink cat. Not a cat that resembles Meowth. Not a cat that's weak like Skitty. Not a cat that's mean like Purugly. Not a cat that's a clone like Mewtwo. But a rare, awesome, cute, amazing Pokemon all in one. And it's got, perfect stat distribution, all 100s. I guess not perfect. Arceus is more perfect, if you will. Being able to learn every TM doesn't even matter to me. Just the fact that there's this pink, cute cat that is awesome and powerful is enough to make it easily my favorite Pokemon ever.
And with that, loyal fans and subscribers, I think my list is complete. Thank you for watching this video until the very end. I certainly appreciate your enthusiasm for my opinions, and thank you once again for being loyal fans and loyal subscribers. So, this is Ninamori Fanboy. Goodbye.